Hello. Hope you guys are doing really well. So as you can see, this is these are your astrological transits for April 22nd to the 28th. And we have the full moon coming in on Tuesday at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So that's Tuesday the 23rd. And then Mercury does station direct on Thursday the 25th, but it'll be some time, a week or so, before we get out of the retro shade. So anyway, let me just take you over my table. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, so I set this chart on, for Monday, 22nd at 4 a.m. just so that you could see that early in the morning, depending on how early you get up, the moon is right there connected with the south node. So our Libra moon at 15 degrees, being in that second decan of the sign, has us, learning some lessons, and it would be related to everything that is going on in the political sphere, because Libra is a sign of justice, and it does bring us back to the past, and it does bring us into all things related to women. So, of course, we're talking about Trump and his pay off people, catch and kill programs, and or catch and kill, ways of trying to stop a report from going out into the news. The moon also rules the public, so the public is very tuned into this, and so there you go. Now, what I find funny is the fact that David Pecker, so he's the guy at the head of or was, I don't know if he still is, but anyway, he was the guy that Trump was supposed to pay $150,000 to back in 2016 in order to stop the Stormy Daniels payoff $130,000, and not only hers but Karen McDougal's. So if he would have paid him off, maybe David Pecker wouldn't be inclined to. Well, then again, he still has to go, but maybe he wouldn't be inclined to give testimony the way he's probably going to give it. The whole problem maybe could have been averted for Trump, or a big part of it. So anyway, the trial won't go well for him, and there's already major problems going on with jury selection. Like my dear friend Lisa over at Spirit Intuitive Tarot, she got that there was going to be something to do with the jury selection when we were reading on Trump a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. We should have stopped and done readings just on that to see what that was about, but we didn't, and that's my fault for continuing on with another question. I wish we would have dove into it. Maybe we'll do it this Saturday. But anyway, so just, you got to love astrology. The South Node is about the past. The moon is about women and relationships and the public. Seeing everything here, and because it's opposing Chiron in Aries, which can have so much to do with, well, not only so Mercury retrograde, digging up the past, is really what's going on here, and then Chiron because remember, Mercury went all the way. Mercury was hit the North Node. The future, right? The Mercury, the messenger, hit the North Node, representing the future, and then it went across Chiron. Neptune or Venus was back over here at that time, but Mercury even touched or crossed over Eris, the kick butt feminine planet, dwarf planet. And I think the sun, when the sun was in about 27, well, I can't remember. I'd have to look back. But anyway, Mercury had its connection, its communication. When you see the planet Mercury, just think somebody's talking to something. or Mercury's bringing messages through. It's all about communication. Well, of course, crossing over Chiron, it had the benefit of bringing up old, the wounding of people just trying to take care of themselves, trying to heal their whatever their issues are in putting themselves out there and being very present with themselves. Aries is so connected to trusting your instincts. But it's also connected to bravery. It's ruled by Mars. So all this, planetary, this huge stellium that we've had, thank goodness the sun is now in Taurus. But remember this huge stellium it's been challenging, I think. It's because it's ruled, all this Aries energy is ruled by Mars. Now, on one level, so it's all about aggression. And it can be passive aggression. But on one level, it has to do with fighting hard, fighting for what you believe in, asserting yourself. And it's geared towards independence. But on another level, it's survival issues. So for Trump, he's trying to survive. It's not easy for him to sit in court for hours. This is going to be, it's going to be way worse than him just falling asleep. And things are coming out about him lurching, being too aggressive already on the potential jurors. Like, why is he even there? I guess maybe so they can see him, I suppose. I don't know. So anyway, with this polarity between independence, self-assertion, and the past having to do with relationships and justice and fairness and equality, we've got a battle going on here. And the public is going to be witnessing this whole thing. And Mercury will go direct on Thursday. But then it still has to get all the way back to once it goes, it's going to station, and then it'll go direct. It still has to make it to 27 degrees before we're out of that retro shade. So, we can look forward to this week, also kind of repeating next week, because Mercury will dig up everything that it worked through when it was retrograde, and it'll put it out into the news again. Mercury's news, the moon is news, okay? Lots of news about Donald snoozing. And I'm being reminded about something I watched last night. So my Mercury retrograde is my TV broke, which, didn't really care. It's no big deal. But I was watching, I got a Paramount Plus subscription, so I could still watch Stephen Colbert and what's the other one? Oh my goodness. The Daily Show, right? I mean, you got to watch The Daily Show. So, well, not every day, but most days. I absolutely love, so many of them. But, so, especially Jon Stewart, and then, what's her name? Dulcie Sloan. She's hysterical. She's hilarious. And then, who doesn't love, oh my goodness, I'm not remembering. Oh, Leslie Johnson? Yeah. But anyway, so because I had that subscription, I was watching, and all of this is in my 12th house. All of this, every single one of these planets here are in my 12th house. I have a really big 12th house. So 12th house can bring in, the pleasures of kind of escaping and losing yourself. And I tend to do that when I'm tired of, the news. It's like it's either comedy or something deep, right? So I was watching, because I had that Paramount Plus subscription, then this other one popped up. It was After Midnight. So it's the gal that comes on. What's her name? Starts with a T and I can't remember, but anyway, Dulce Sloan was on with her, and they were talking about Mercury retrograde. And, okay, but if I'm a Cancer, can I do this? Can I pretend I'm an Aquarius? If I'm a da-da-da-da. And it was really funny. So she's on after Stephen Colbert if you get a cable lineup, or you can do the Paramount Plus thing. But anyway, The thing that stuck in my head that I haven't been able to forget is Dulce Sloan said, well, you know, Mercury's in lemonade. So take that. You'll just take that and have some fun with it, rather than being like me and getting slammed with Mercury retrograde left and right. Just some things turned out really great, easily, and super, super awesome. And other things are still torturing me. My computers, I'm still working things out. So anyway, that's me and my story with this line up here. Things go too fast. And with Mercury, especially when Mercury's in Aries, information can tend to come in too fast, and then it suddenly changes. And that's particularly true with, remember, and this the reason I never read on it, because I knew it was just, you know, just not going to ever amount to anything, was the sham impeachment of Andrew, was it Andrew? I think it's Andrew Mayorkas. So, yeah, they didn't even... Schumer went through... he went through Schumer, and Schumer went through all the steps of what amounts, what is tangible, or what stands up, tangible, what is evidence for impeachment, and it didn't meet one single part of the criteria, so that got canceled. That's a perfect, you know, and I don't know when it started. I would think is maybe when Mercury's in Pisces back in here, but here we are in that journey of, you know, Mercury going retrograde, and then it's like, oh, no. And so that's the case this week. You know, Mercury's right, just bumping up against the North Node, which is, of course, the future that we're all going towards. And some things don't work out when Mercury's in Aries. Some things are, you know, new starts just don't happen when we have Mercury retrograde in Aries, or they can be started back in here as it, you know, as it was, and then not amount to anything because, well, there's nothing there. You have to have evidence. Oh God. So, for us, for this week, this is, I think, like this final, especially today on Monday, this is this final, like, fever pitch of maybe some crazy frenetic energy that has to do with relationships. And so if we're aligned with spiritual law, if we're aligned with the laws of love, if we're aligned with justice and fairness and equality, then we're going to be fine. But those who are not, and they just want what they want, no matter what, and no matter who's hurt, and no matter at what cost, they're going to have some hard lessons. So, yeah. Now, you can see that the South Node is in conjunct Saturn here, okay? Now the moon up there with it, you know, hooking in. The moon is a luminary and will illuminate especially the mood of the public. The public seems to be wanting justice, and Saturn over here is the, you know, the boundaries of what we're testing. And in Pisces, it's all about, are we compassionate? Are we kind? Are we loving? Are we aligned with spiritual law? And with Venus and Neptune, and you'll see by the end of the week, Mars, I'm sorry, not Venus. Venus is here on the other side of Chiron. I'll talk about that in a moment, but for now, Mars getting closer and closer. Remember when Venus was conjunct Neptune, right? We might have had some fuzziness in relationships, and we may have had some very spiritual relationships come in. And now with Mars hooking up with Neptune, there's a lot of action, and a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of motivation to be connected to your spiritual self, to your core, to your spiritual source, to your guides, your guardian angels. And also to have, because Neptune rules all things, you know, with film and movies and media and being able to chill out, being able to relax, being able to inhabit some states of bliss. And with Mars there coming every day, it'll get closer and closer. And you'll see by Sunday it's at 27 degrees. So all week long, we are going to be wanting to be more relaxed, more compassionate, more kind, more sensitive. Definitely that's going to happen whether we want it or not. It's a heightened aspect for this conjunction of Mars and Neptune is an heightened aspect of being instinctually in tune with your intuition. It's a psychic aspect here. Now, when it comes to the dark side of this can be victimhood, just going all over the place, just very cut off and from taking self-responsibility as to what they'll say, what they'll do, so this is Trump and his gag order being violated over and over and over. And it's, first it's just going to be a civil issue, but it could turn into some criminal issue that locks him up. We'll just have to wait and see. But he can't seem to even make it through jury selection without, number one, making a fool out of himself. Number two, trying to come down on jurors, and so Judge Merchan is man, he's pushing back on him, and we'll see how far it goes. But anyway, with these two sextiles here over to Jupiter and Uranus, and we've had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Jupiter's moving close, over the other side pretty quickly. I mean, by May 25th, Jupiter will be in Gemini. So this is the last. We're in that last decan. Uranus takes too long; it'll sit there for quite some time. But with Jupiter in the last decan, this is we're past that mess around and find out phase. And now we're into, okay, we had the opportunity to learn lessons, and this would be political and personal. When you're in the second decan, you have the opportunity to learn lessons. When you're in the third decan, which is 20 degrees to 29 degrees, you are either deepening the lesson by getting the consequences of excess. Jupiter can relate to not seeing the details, risking and gambling your future. It can have to do with being kind of lawless, just not being aligned with spiritual law. So, and it can have to do with being lazy and overconfident, that we can put this in, well, this is actually in Trump's chart. I think this is in his 10th house now. Yeah, I think he has 13 degrees up here of Taurus. So this is in his 10th house of reputation, and the everybody's getting that. Even though there aren't any cameras, I mean, we're getting all the reports. So, my goodness. And then with the double trine going on up here to Ceres, for him, we're talking grief and separation. From his reputation, which, we could all say he didn't really have one. He has a reputation as a con man. Well, we're all going to be seeing that. More and more people are going to be seeing that. His minions, who are, up here in this category of Neptune and Mars and Saturn, all in Pisces, in the dark side of it, they're not using it spiritually. They're using it to be very gullible. They're using it to not take responsibility for thinking for themselves. They're using it in ways that, just have them kind of assimilating, like remember the Borg, remember that? and into just this realm of not even having a piece of themselves. Their psyche is just split and fractured. So there's that. But then for us, we have all of this spiritual opportunity to make the adjustments that are necessary with the inconjunct here, now getting politics out of it completely and just looking at relationship wise and spiritual wise and, you know, day-to-day life. It's all about balancing everything out, being careful not to jump to any conclusions with all the Aries energy, knowing that things will work out eventually. If you're having trouble in any area, you just keep following true to your, you know, hold on to your belief, hold on to your faith that truth and justice always prevail. And even though, you know, there might be some testing that needs to happen in the outer world, that's okay. You can handle it, and just keep calling on your guides and your guardian angels for support. You know, call on your spirit team to help you resolve it behind the scenes, because there's only so much we can do as humans, right? You know, we can't. Well, actually, even our guides and guardian angels, they can influence as much as they want with energy, but if a person is you know, not open, then they won't get the messages. They won't feel the inspiration. They won't feel the spontaneous, you know, life force coming through that wants to guide them in a good direction. Instead, they'll just sit in their like inverted energy, swarming, you know, going in the wrong direction inside, and kind of short-circuiting all the great things that could happen. So stay open. All this Piscean energy here, if you want to use this energy the best way, stay open to all possibilities and stay in the state of, just try to ask for more grace. Stay in the state of openness, and because this is mutable energy here, you know, it's open. And you can open up to all the good things, right? You can open up to being more versatile, more adaptable, more flexible. Those are all Piscean traits. Well, actually, any mutable signs. So Sag, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces. Those are our mutable signs. So if you have any strong planetary alignments in those signs, you can do really good work with these transits. So, yeah, and the same goes with Taurus. You know, it's fixed, but you can do really, really well with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And then Ceres up here, if you hold, now we've got 5 degrees of separation here, so this is a waning transit from the South Node and the connection to the North Node, even though you can see all the squares. Instead, let's focus in on, see how we have 20 degrees here? Let's focus in on Chiron and Venus at 21, and even Eris at 24. Let's focus in on these 3, you know, planets here. Or actually, Chiron is a centaur, but it's very powerful. So anyway, with the squares coming off of Ceres, remember Ceres is our dwarf planet that has everything to do with nurturing what we're trying to create, and in Capricorn, we're talking stability. And now that Ceres is at that 20-degree mark in that 3rd decan of the sign, we are deepening the possibility to have something really blossom for us. So whatever we've been working on and nurturing, no matter how much trouble we've gone through over the last few weeks with Mercury in lemonade, we can definitely make changes. The changes will come. The squares coming off of Ceres to Chiron, Venus, and Eris are all about, you know, just challenges. They're tests, right? But those challenges can make you stronger when you work through them. We have decision points at each one of these squares. So there's a decision with Chiron, from Ceres to Chiron, to remind yourself over and over and over again that you matter, that you can do this, that you can independently reach out and then also hook into the place where we're all you know, interdependent on each other, and we can receive support. But we have to reach out and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening and I really need help. Just do it. You'll get it. You'll be received. And that is because Venus is right here as well. Chiron conjunct Venus. Venus wants unity and harmony. Venus wants to, make something happen in a relationship where someone can get the support that they need, but you have to be the one to reach out. That's the thing. If you're not going to reach out because maybe you have a false belief that nobody's going to help you. Maybe you've been left out when you were a kid. Maybe you were terribly abandoned when you were a kid. And so you might have an impulsive, especially if you were born with Chiron in Aries, at any degree, it's very possible that you might have been in this lifetime and the previous one abandoned. And so you have this like impulsive reaction inside to just try and do everything yourself because, damn it, I can't trust anyone else, right? Because on the other side of Libra is Aries, on the other side of Aries is Libra, and it's all about relationships. So we can create breakthroughs on those fronts if we can just change, our perception. If we can just open our minds and say, bring in some new affirmations, new mantras, and say, I have lots of support. All I have to do is reach out. I can reach out. I'm strong. I'm brave. And at first it's scary. It's truly, it's scary to ask for help when you're used to, I know this one really well, when you're used to just doing everything yourself and taking care of so much, and you just keep going, and you don't even stop and think because it's your maternal imprint. I have my series in Libra, in the 6th house. So my maternal imprint was to just make everything nice, take care of everything for my mom, so she didn't, so she wasn't happy. And my unconscious thought was, or unconscious pseudo solution was, if I took care of her and the home, then maybe I might be taken care of, right? Well, it doesn't work that way. Not always, right? It might for some things, and then it won't for others. So as an adult, growing up, you shift everything. You learn to shift everything, and then you have experiences come to you where you need support, you need help, and there's no way you can do it by yourself. Now, your intuitive friends and family members will sense when you need help, and they'll be right there before you even need to ask. But for my soul to grow, I needed to stand up for myself and say, hey, I'm in trouble here. Are you able to help? And that was actually very healing, I think, not only for me to stand up for myself and ask, but also for them to help me, because they might not have known that I needed the help had I not, And it made all of my relationships stronger. It definitely helped. So I'm giving this, this information here so that you guys can hopefully learn from it. I'll use myself as a teaching experience anytime I can think of the ways it'll relate. And it certainly does relate with these transits, absolutely. And with the full moon coming in, it's 4 degrees of Scorpio tomorrow, or tomorrow night, we're going to see, how resourceful we can be with that. So use the energy here to assess your relationships, where they are, and your relationship patterns within. This is really, really important. This entire transit here is all about relationship patterns, all right? Your relationship patterns and how your relationships are mirrors to you, because relationships are mirrors. That is the reason that we all are interdependent on each other. And with Pluto in Aquarius, this is all about having our friends, having our like-minded kindred spirits, so that we're all together and we have these new goals. And Aquarius is very independent as well. So, yeah. Let's have some new objectives for independence and freedom, but also together, doing it all, having all of that together. Because if we don't all have, the world is it's a better place when we all have our needs met and we are all working together. Of course, it doesn't really happen that way, and we see that in pockets all over the world where it's just nothing but war, and it's been endless wars, and then we have our part in it too. The United States has its part in little pieces here and there all over the world, and so do so many other countries. So the important thing I think here is just to know that we don't have any control over anyone else, and especially when it comes to other countries. The only thing we do have control over is how we regulate ourselves within, right? Self-regulation is a very important part of being and accessing your higher self, being with and being in alignment with your higher self. So as we balance out that soul substance within that can go into emotional reaction and then just run in one direction like Aries, or sit in the downside of the Libra energy and not have a strong boundary when it comes to dependencies and codependencies and things like that. That's the task, because Libra primarily is all about balance. So there's that real need to balance out our soul substance so that we can go into these new frontiers that we're trying to forge, being on our path or staying on our path. But this nodal axis, it has everything to do with relationships. Venus is the ruler over here. Mars is the ruler over here. And Mars is ruler of Aries. Venus is the ruler of Libra and Taurus. This is, again, thinking about seeing your relationships as mirrors. Are they mirroring something in you that needs to change, or something that needs to be held with? And the love that is real is eternal. So of course, and sometimes that means you say no, but if they really love you, they'll go, oh yeah, no worries, that's fine, and they'll understand because they loved you, right? And they're whole within. But if they're not, or you're not, you'll take on too much and they'll keep pushing, or they'll keep running from you and you'll keep wanting them, but then that just keeps you going in this one direction. You have to have a healthy, wholeness, and then you have breakthroughs. Those are the breakthroughs you have in relationships. So yeah, so either, I guess the important thing to say here is that if we can see relationships as mirrors in our lives, the mirroring will motivate us to be more independent and heal relationship codependencies, or leave those vicious circles if the healing can't happen together. Because we're allowed to move forward and create anew only to the degree that we're peaceful and fair. And so we have this, this fight for justice going on, but we're headed in this direction of something new. So we'll see how it goes for each one of us. And then, of course, I think we know where this is all heading politically, because things have not been fair for the feminine. And, yeah. Come November, we will be well past that, mess around and find out phase. So, okay, let's see. I think I've covered the backdrop. Yeah. Let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and move forward to Tuesday. So Tuesday is our full moon, Scorpio full moon, coming in at 4:50 p.m. Pacific, just to your time zone accordingly. You can see the moon is here, and so it's moved, from the south node, picked up all that energy from the past, and we have assessed relationships, and we are seeing what's playing out on the political stage through the news. And we still have Saturn over here in that inconjunct, the adjustment that still needs to continue to be made to test. We're testing reality here, right? The government Is the government going to stand up, or is it going to be wishy-washy? Is the government going to consider all possibilities for the future, or is it going to be lax and all over the place and not take responsibility? We'll see about that. And we'll see how this plays out with Scrotus, too. So Mars here at 24 degrees is in the sextile to Jupiter. So there's something big happening in the undercurrents politically. Mars in Pisces here at 24 degrees is, and notice how it's moved a degree closer to Neptune. We're in that mess around and find out territory, and there are opportunities for expansion and healing, or on the dark side for lawlessness, like I was saying, and laziness and overconfidence and overlooking details and just being very provocative just to get attention. You know who I'm talking about in the courtroom, right? So, and with the double trine up to Ceres, again, when push comes to shove, there's going to be a lot of grief and separation for him. But anyway, back to the full moon in Scorpio. Well, Scorpio in that first decan of the sign has to do with developing a strong foundation. Scorpio is really good for transformation, doesn't mind going through conflict as long as it will enhance life in the future. So we'll see how it goes in the courtroom for him. And I think that the downside of the Scorpio energy that he's going to be imbibing from will be that he's just sucking the life force out of the room, that he consumes so much energy, and he is so degenerated, just he's the degenerate of the, yeah. God. Oh, yeah. So there's that. And I think what he's going to do with it is just destroy any opportunities he has to come out of this in, of any form of wholeness. And we have, for all of us, we have that same opportunity. Are we going to refine and transform? Are we going to enhance our lives to create harmony? Are we going to fight for that? Are we going to stand strong? Are we going to dig our heels in and know that justice is for everyone? It shouldn't be. Yeah. What was it that Merrick Garland said? Without fear or favor, right? Justice without fear or favor. So we'll see how this goes, but with the square to Pluto, the world is watching. In Aquarius, this is the law of brotherhood and sisterhood, which means fairness and equality. It's, can be kind of cranky energy, especially with the square. If we get cranky, I wouldn't be surprised, and that's okay. Just allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. As long as you don't hurt yourself or hurt someone else, know that we are transforming something within that needs to be transformed, because the universe always gives us opportunities to do that. And you just have to remember that life is for you, and especially in the process of healing. So we can't heal what we will not feel. So allow yourself to feel your anger. There is healthy anger. It gets us to set boundaries, right? And create those never, like never will I, right? Like never will I order anything online from Best Buy again, okay? Yeah. Things like that. That's my little never so far this week. But, when it comes to seeing the big picture of whatever needs to heal, you don't get to see that when you're going through it. And you do not want to do that. The healing process should not involve your brain. The healing, the rational, logical, higher level of intelligence will come through after you've gone deep inside and felt the feelings. Now, again, number one caveat there are two caveats are you do not hurt yourself or anyone else. And by that, I mean don't escape with drugs or alcohol. Feel the feelings. They're not going to kill you. As long as you're not going to hurt yourself or someone else, your feelings can never kill you. They're just feelings. They're just old emotional reactions from the past. And when I say the past, in this particular situation with politically what's going on, we are living in unprecedented times in this lifetime. But you could bet that something happened to you in another lifetime that is being triggered now with all of this going through, where some dictator was in power and you got taken out. Like, think of the Holocaust. Think of all the souls on the planet in the Holocaust. Think of that lost their lives, or the ones that even survived but went through hell, absolute hell, because of a dictator, because of Hitler. And now we have Shitler. I mean, it's poetic on one level and funny, that would pick up the Pluto and Aquarius, but it's also trying to transform humanity. And this full moon in Scorpio could bring all that up. And so just be gentle with yourself. Let yourself feel whatever you need to feel and know that it's not for naught, right? Feeling the feelings will help you to heal it and release it. I promise. I promise, because I've been there. I've been there so many times. And once you get used to feeling all of your feelings and not being afraid of feeling it, like not being afraid to feel your shame, like not being afraid to feel that you made an ass out of yourself, not being afraid of feeling that, the deep heart pain of being betrayed, in so many different ways, right? I think a lot of us souls can relate to that. So the important thing is that, the full moon over here, or the full moon over here in Scorpio, full moon, of course, is opposing the sun. That's what makes it the full. So we have both luminaries. And we can be on one side feeling deeply our pain, or wanting to kill, or wanting revenge, or wanting, all of that. But as long as we don't do it, as long as we're over here on the Taurus sun side and we try to stay, get into some bliss, stay in our self-protective mode, stay in our security and our faithfulness to our principles mode, then we're going to be fine. Okay? And we can have a big breakthrough, but we may flip and go back and forth between these two polarities in our process, in our inner process, and that's okay too. The only thing that's not okay with, anytime, in anything in life, is to resist what you're feeling. What's not okay is to numb out. What's not okay is to go into apathy and pessimism and just say, oh, it's always going to be fucked up, so why bother, or it's always going to be just awful, I'm always going to experience this. If you're in always, you're in duality. And if you're in duality, you're stuck. And you have to open up to a third option. Instead of it being either or, it's and. So what's the and? Where's the opportunity for healing here? What is my beautiful problem? What is, and I say problem and call it beautiful because it helps you get out of duality. So look at everything through that lens. Look at every problem through the lens of it being an opportunity to heal something, and you won't be so frustrated with life anymore. And that's another promise I can make. So, okay, with the full moon, notice there are no other aspects except for the square, okay, in the evening. Now, the 4:50 p.m., but before that, there's this huge buildup. Let's go back. Let me take it to hours here. There we go. There we go. Come on. Let's go back and see if there, so you see the square, we had a sesquisquare. There could be some stubbornness that comes in at about 2 p.m., before 2 p.m. Let's go back some more. The inconjunct coming through to Neptune. Yeah, there can be some major, when the moon, so this is at 7:50 a.m. So Tuesday morning before the moon's full, relationship issues are heightened and there are adjustments that need to be made because you want to be connected to your spiritual source. And this could be that you can't hold space anymore for someone, for some friend or loved one that keeps going into victim issues. You just can't do it anymore. It's too intense. And you say, I'm out of here. So that's it. Let's go to Wednesday. Oops, hold on. Okay. So Wednesday, the moon is still in Scorpio, and now we have a trine coming in. This is 6 a.m., so it's not that far off from, the 4:50 p.m. But we're past the fever pritch? Fever pritch in the morning. The fever pitch of the full moon, we're past it in the morning, 6 a.m. We have the trine coming into Saturn. And this is an approaching trine, so things can flow really nicely into something that is wonderful for you, because to use the best of the Saturn in Pisces transit is to create your spiritual foundation. Your spiritual foundation is a place where darkness doesn't get in. Your spiritual foundation is your sanctuary where you meditate. Your spiritual foundation is where you open your heart to your higher self and you set your intentions to align with your higher self. You want your intuition to flow. You want your compassion to be there. You don't mind being sensitive because you see that as strength, because it's the way that your empathic abilities work and your psychic abilities work, and it's so worth all the effort to go through the healing process, like I was talking about before. If you're willing to feel all your feelings, you will eventually become very intuitive and possibly, very, very psychic. So that's it. It's all about feeling your feelings. It's not about connecting in your head. Guidance can come through into your head, but that doesn't happen having not do all that, personal process work. It can here and there, it just depends. And I'm not saying all psychics are evolved either, but it depends on what you want in your life. Like, why are you here, right? Why are you here? Ask yourself that all the time. Why am I here? What do I want? What did I come in to heal, right? And I promise it has to do with healing the false belief that you're not good enough, or you're too much, or you're never enough, or you don't matter. It's something to do with your self-worth. So you find that answer and then flip it on its head, turn it all around. So that could happen with this transit here, because Scorpio wants to dig deep. And every hour, every degree that Scorpio passes through, it takes 2 to 2.5 days to get through one sign. So we're still working it, and we have time to keep going deeper. And as the moon goes, forward, it's going to trine not only Mars, but then, of course, Neptune. So this is the beginning of a wonderful transit to heal and come into your grace. Neptune is so beautiful for being in that high-level spiritual energy that can just dissolve whatever things in our psyche that just don't need to be there anymore, right? It can help you transcend. And it's also good for if you want to get into find some good things on some movies that are good to watch. People talk a lot about that Gaia channel. that there's some really beautiful spiritual things there. There's tons on YouTube. There's tons on YouTube. But whatever you're interested in, whether it's near-death experiences or astrology or any spiritual thing. I mean, there's just, you can do, you can learn so much on YouTube, and you can do things. I mean, I had to reprogram my thermostat. I woke up one morning, my stupid thermostat was set to, you know, like heat on all the time. And I'm like, what the heck? So I had to reprogram it. I didn't know how to do that. Well, I watched a video on YouTube. But, you know, that was another one of my little Mercury and lemonade experiences this last couple weeks. It's like everything just needed to be fixed. So it takes, you know, the challenging thing with Mercury retrograde is it takes a lot longer to get the normal things done, because all these little things blip in, you know, fall into your daily routine and just screw it all up. But that's probably, you know, that's just because of my chart, with the, especially with the lineup in the 12th house. The opposite side is the 6th house, which is daily routine and service. And for me, it was also where it came in my chart with the eclipses, both eclipses, 12th to the 6th, right? Or 12th to 6th or 6th to the 12th. First one was 6th to the 12th. So anyway, I will get through it. Okay, so let's see. You can see the opposition here still of the full moon, so it's still there. Probably it's just so beautiful in the sky as well. But let's go ahead and go to Thursday. So Thursday we do have Mercury stationing direct. It's still Mercury and lemonade though, because we're not out of that. We're not out of the retro shade yet. We need to get past. We need to get beyond the 27 degrees. But anyway, it stations direct at 5:55 a.m. Pacific. So adjust to your time zone. And when Mercury is stationing direct, the moon is exactly opposing, well, within 1 degree, opposing Uranus. So there could be a big breakthrough. Uranus and Jupiter, they're both at 22 degrees. And even after we've had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, we still have it again, because now Uranus has moved 1 degree and Jupiter's on the other side. So this is good. I like this. I like it for us when it comes to transformation, when it comes to all the good qualities of Scorpio, you know, which is becoming unflappable, right? And with Jupiter and Uranus over here, it could be that somebody is going to find out just how unflappable you are. Because with the moon in the 3rd decan, you are blossoming. You have done the hard work, and you don't take it. You're just not going to take it. And it could be that someone's over here going, oh, okay, well, you taught them a lesson. So a big breakthrough can happen. It can also be a confrontation. It just depends on what end of this, the spectrum you're at. Like, I wouldn't provoke a fight. Don't do that, because this is not good. This could be a problem. Go in the other direction to protect yourself, but go towards what you really want and expect breakthroughs and miracles. Breakthroughs with the opposition, breakthroughs with Uranian, because Uranus is all about breakthroughs, and Jupiter with graceful and healing protection. Jupiter is our planet of protection. So, yeah. Now, the moon is, during this Mercury direct, the moon is also sextiling Eris. I'm sorry, what am I saying? Ceres. So with Ceres, oh yeah, we do need to, that was a Freudian slip. We do need to look at that, because look where Venus has crossed over Eris. So anyway, I'll do that next. With this sextile here, though, sextiles are always opportunities, and we do have also the aspect of the architect going on. So I'll combine all three of these, but just focus in, for learning purposes, focusing in here with the moon sextile Ceres. We have an opportunity to intuitively and emotionally protective, to be protective and nurturing. Things that are really important to us, our family, our loved ones, the foundations of our lives, being in Capricorn, and most of all, our integrity. With Ceres being in that last decan, it's at 20 degrees, in that last decan of the sign, we're in the territory of deepening our authority, our inner authority, our integrity. Now, if it's worked in the dark side, if somebody takes an opportunity here on the dark side, would of course be to just be very, very selfish and vengeful, and they will what they'll wind up doing is creating an opportunity that they're going to grieve later, because it's going to separate them from all the good that could come in. They might have their money, because it could be about greed. They might have their money, but they don't have love. They might have money, but they don't have relationships that they can trust. They might have their money and some power, but it'll be power that turns against themselves, because it's called, it's self-sabotage. Right? So, yeah. And then we need to look at this Pluto square as well, but let's look at Venus on the other side of Eris. So Eris, of course, we have to remember, is our kick-butt feminine archetype. It's like our Joan of Arc in the zodiac that isn't taking it and just follows her path. And, she takes 558 years to travel all the way around the zodiac. So we all have Eris in Aries somewhere in our charts. Mine is conjunct my moon, so yeah, I can get snarky. And but I've also overcome tons and tons of family, familial issues with that energy. So anyway, with it having, now Chiron is 4 degrees away, so this is intensifying too. It's about holding firm to who you are and being very willing to assert yourself, but in, nice ways where you're present with the other, or the others. And then with the unifying force of Venus here in Aries, this has to do with opening up to... Venus in Aries could be like the mom that just loves new babies, or that loves new life, loves the little buds that are coming out, to bloom. It's about the little things, the new life. Now, Venus is also... we're still in that square. Ceres is squaring not only Venus, Eris, and Chiron, but is still a little bit in there with the North Node and Mercury as well. So this is a lot of tension. This is a huge tension field in relationship to the feminine. To here's one message with Venus in Aries, and in that third decan, no less. We are deepening the understanding that how does the feminine survive with greedy politicians and greedy, abusive SCOTUS members, right? Because like I said last week, with these new laws they're trying to enforce, women will die. It's going to be kind of like, we don't know the numbers yet. It's kind of like what we went through with COVID. Like, we know people are going to die. We don't know how many yet, but it'll come out. The numbers will come out. Women that lost their lives because they either couldn't get a hysterectomy or they couldn't get the abortion unless they're bleeding out in the parking lot, and on and on and on. So I won't go into it again like I did last week, but here it is, and it's stronger than last week, right? So the awareness is there, and Venus wanting to unify and protect a new life. Like if a woman is going through a terrible experience where, you know, an early abortion could protect their fertility, that's the way to handle it. That's always the best way to handle something. But if, you know, if they don't get what they need in order to preserve their fertility, then of course they also lose the ability to have children in the future. So the government is in, you know, a lot of the government is in this, you know what I want to say, but I'm going to say mess around and find out phase. And later on, they will be, you know, I think regretful at some point. And anybody who voted for anything like that, well, when they have their, you know, life review, when they cross over and they have a life review, they'll see where they weren't fair and just, and they were holding to some ridiculous religious belief that should not ever be inserted into anyone's health care. Right? So, all that. Okay. The aspect of the architect here, I think I pretty much just gave voice to that. The moon opposing Jupiter and Uranus is everything that I was just speaking about. But the aspect of the architect is a building aspect, which we have one of the builders of the zodiac here with Jupiter, the other one's Saturn over here. And that is trine with Saturn. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It's Mars and, yeah, the trine from the moon to Mars and Neptune, that's really important as well. But let me focus back over here first. This trine, double trine at this end, brings the energy down to, because the slower moving planet here is Uranus. Jupiter has already connected with Uranus and now is on the other side and won't retrograde back into Taurus. It'll move forward into Gemini, and then when it does retrograde, it's still going to be in Gemini, and that won't happen until October anyway. But so this is the last opportunity for opening up and expanding safety and values and bliss and holding to your principles. And with the trine up here to Ceres, of course, it is, what are you going to nurture? Where's your inner integrity? Where are you in your connection to your own inner authority? That doesn't have anything to do with, you know, man-made law. It has to do with spiritual law. It doesn't have anything to do with what other people think. It has to do with you and your connection with yourself. But if we're connected with all that's good and loving and kind, we are connected together in the heart of hearts. And that is within the laws of love. So we're in spiritual law there. So are we going to be in spiritual law? Are we going to kind of maybe rebel in a healthy way? And you know, where do we want to go, basically, is the question. With our lives. With the future. And, you know, and that, like I was saying before, where do you want to go when you when you cross over? Do you want to go back home to yourself with your soul coming fully dissolved into your spirit, and it's just bigger and it's all clear? Or do you want to have a lot of your soul stuck in some astral realm where you're going to have to come back in another lifetime and pick it up and then come in and go through the lesson again, right? So that's where the greedy ones are headed. So Pluto squaring the sun, or I should say the sun, because Pluto's just sitting there, right? It's not going anywhere too quickly. But the sun, over the last few days, and I should have noticed this and gave more voice to it, but the sun squaring Pluto brings up power issues. And the power has to do with your principles, what you give, power to in your life, what makes you feel, secure and sure about yourself. It also has to do with, because Taurus is such a sensual sign, it relates to all of our sensory perceptions, and it does rule the neck and the throat. with the square to Pluto, there could be some issues that came in because somebody in a position of power is detached. Here's the downside of it. You're over here and you're very sensitive to your whole body, actually. And then here's somebody over here in a position of power, and they're aloof, and they're cranky, and they're detached. And they might be great some days, but then some other days are just awful, and they're unpredictable. And maybe just too tuned into technology, and they haven't connected to their hearts. And then maybe they're just really opinionated as well. So there can be a clash here. Now, if it's worked the right way, and again, like I said, this is Thursday. I should have been speaking about this on Monday, and I missed it. So this is all week long. So if you just tune into Thursday, forgive me, please add this into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That it's a building square, and it's, challenging to say the least, but it can turn into a strength in some strength. So if, like, for instance, if you have a doctor's appointment or a dentist's appointment or any other healthcare provider, anything like that, and they're not present with you, you might have to call them out on it. Or you might have to say, you might even want to have to just think to yourself, forget it, I'll just go somewhere else, because this is obviously how this person is. That's kind of how I am. I don't tend to try to change people at all. I just see what I'm seeing, sense what I'm sensing, hear what I'm hearing, and take it at face value and move on. So this would be a sign of second opinions, maybe even third opinions. And it doesn't have to be any healthcare professional. It can be any provider of any kind of service. If something doesn't jive and it makes your, makes your BS meter go, something goes off inside, then yeah, get a second opinion. So you can also see this nice little sextile here from Neptune and Pluto that has been there. So this is that opportunity to find more power by detaching from negativity and getting into the beautiful spiritual space that can be had with Neptune and Pisces. And again, this Neptune and Pisces, for all of us, this is a once-in-a-lifetime transit. Because it takes 13 to 14 years for Neptune to get through one sign, and it takes 164 years to get all the way around the zodiac. So we should be milking this transit for all we can, right? So to do that, it is to allow yourself to let go of things that don't really matter, help you to let go of addictions, help you to let go of confusions and distortions, and go towards devoting yourself to your connection with your higher self and your guides and your guardian angels, and to explore spirituality, to use your envisioning techniques for meditation, to imprint a whole new reality for yourself, to get involved with all forms of creativity, any form of art that pulls you, go for it. Pisces is so good. This is an excellent transit. These have been excellent transits. And when we had Venus over here in Pisces, and now we have Mars, these are excellent transits for all artists of any type. Any type. So yeah. Take advantage of that. Now we can see that we have two inconjuncts from the moon, also with involving Eris and Venus. So again, there will be adjustments that need to be made, because now you're seeing something or sensing something, or something more deeply. And it causes the need for either digging your heels in and holding your ground, or making that change and say, I'll just go my own way, right? Or maybe the adjustment is you're going to dig your heels in and you're going to fight for what's right, right? Yeah, and now I'm hearing Beastie Boys. Yeah, you can fight for your right to party. Why not? As long as you don't break anything. Kick it, right? Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's see. Mercury has been, and I did cover this already, has been, opposing the South Node and, hooked up, connected to the North Node. And that will continue to be, for the rest of this week. But it does move pretty quickly, and it'll start going this direction. So Mercury will connect back up to Chiron and Eris, and we will be, going over that same territory, working things out, but this time with some kind of a solution. And it might just be picking up more and more voters, especially younger voters or Latino voters or any person of color who finally gets away. New voters would be younger ones, but Latino and any people of color, they need to get away from the Republican Party because they are not going to, be any. They're not going to hold in their consciousness anything that helps you in your life. So, yeah, okay. The double trines to the moon are really important for artistic endeavors, spiritual endeavors. Look how close Mars is to Neptune. So let's go ahead and move forward to Friday. On Friday, I set the chart for 6 a.m. The moon is in Sag, but it does. On Friday, the moon hits Sag. Well, actually, it came in the night before, like late. I think about. Well, it depends on what time zone. I think about 6:30. Yeah, that's my notes over here. So the moon hit Sag last night about 6:30 Pacific. And by the time you get up in the morning, no matter how early you get up, the moon's going to be in Sag. So just know that. So the moon in Sag. So remember, the moon is always our moods. It helps us connect to our needs. It helps us to feel, helps us to digest and, respond. It's connected to our intuition and everything that we nurture. It's connected to our mothers, our homes, eating habits, and just all those daily things that we do every day. Now, in Sag, we have to think in terms of freedom. And what do we believe in? And we need to speak up. What do we want to say? It has to do with exploring what brings meaning into our lives. What we give our faith to, right? Now, it can be some religious dogma coming in. And I say that because of this very stubborn transit here to Chiron with the sesquisquare. But it also, we have a semi-square in the morning to Ceres. So there's going to be, there's action that needs to be taken in order to respond to what you really believe in. And it might have something to do with travel. You might wake up and realize, oh, I am going to have to travel, even though maybe you didn't want to. But maybe you're making some travel plans this morning. And we have the inconjunct to the sun. The sun in Taurus is kind of like, oh, I don't want to get up right now, And the moon in Sag is like, we have to get up and we have to go. So there's that adjustment there, even though you don't really like it. And it could also be that you're at this end and you want to get going, but somebody over here at this end doesn't want to go, and you're kind of, somebody has to give, right? Otherwise, the movement doesn't happen. We also have a little semi-square here to Saturn, from Saturn to Pluto. So again, testing the limits. There's going to be some action that needs to be taken. Notice how Saturn has come forward 1 degree. Is now at 16 degrees. Still in that sesquisquare, or I'm sorry, what am I saying? Still in the inconjunct to the South Node. So it's still testing the limits of the past. And we're talking justice and fairness and equality. And also relationships. Are your relationships feeding your spirit? or not. And if not, you know, the adjustments will be made. But with the Saturn to Pluto, there's going to be some action, I think, that comes through that has to do with humanitarian issues. And this may be something to do with the war in Israel and Ukraine, and or the possible, yeah. I mean, it's actually genocide in Israel and the war, and it was genocide at both ends. Maybe something will come through with one of these dictators, either Putin or Netanyahu or Erdogan, and we'll see some action there. So let's see, anything else? If I go forward, let's go forward a little bit. And yeah, just a couple of semi-squares now, or sesqui-squares, just that stubborn energy. Now at 9 a.m. Pacific, so noon Eastern, we have the moon trine the North Node, coming into an exact trine there. Wow. So every hour that goes past, so for, let's see how long this lasts. Wow, double trine there because it brings in Mercury. And then we have a square to Saturn. Ooh. Yeah, man. This is friggin' all day. All day. Okay, so all day Friday. I'm going to predict it's a big news dump that has to do with being at that mess around and find out phase and learning. Something's developed, okay, from in the morning to the late afternoon. Something has developed where we have learned something politically. Sag rules politics. Sag also rules religious dogma. So we're going to be learning something that sets a lot of people onto a different trajectory over here, a different path in their thinking, and because it doesn't jive with how they want to move forward. You know, this is a lot of fiery energy here. Sag and Aries are both fire signs. They move. Yeah, so, and then Saturn, the square to Saturn over here, the tension field is all about the fact that someone's trying to victimize themselves and grift off of others, which is victimizing them, and someone is really, really making a mess of things. So, gee, who do you think that might be? Okay, let's go to Saturday. Saturday, the moon's still in Sag. Now we have how many trines? Because look, the moon's at 18 degrees at 6 a.m. Pacific. My goodness. Yeah, it's basically, well, it's going to keep going, though. As the moon, every hour the moon goes by, it's going to hit all these other planets in Aries. So basically, the moon in Sag has trined all the planets and points in Aries energy, and it is giving the opportunity to move forward in a way that you have more grace and ease in your life, but also it's exposing all the political and religious dogma that's out there. And notice how Mars is 1 degree closer to Neptune at 27 to 8. My goodness, this is tight. And yeah, and then the moon is squaring, is still squaring Saturn, but it's coming off. So, you know what? You know what I should have said for Friday? Don't stay up too late. Try to get enough sleep. It's a high energy. And then again, too, it might be such a high energy day that you just, you know, hit your pillow and you're gone. And you wake up in the morning and you're fine. But if you stay up too late, you can catch a second wind of energy and then have trouble going to sleep. So try not to do that. But if you do, you know, and you have Saturday off, no big deal. But you know, it's better to be on a healthy schedule for your circadian rhythm. So anyway, Moon square Saturn is still, it's about testing the government, testing the man, testing, are they seeing the big picture, or are they just trying to keep victimizing us? Depends, you know. Depends on what side you're on and who you vote for. The sun is still squaring Pluto, but so this all week long the sun has been squaring Pluto. That is really important. Again, confrontations with power, testing the limits with people in power. Yeah, and we'll see how people use their power. We'll see how we use our power all week. All right? Life is always a test. Every day is a test. I think that's it. Let's go to Sunday. Now we have Mars conjunct Neptune. I had it just at 6 a.m. and it's it's right there. It's not exact to the minute, but they're both at 28 degrees. So this is a week of intense motivation to get on your spiritual path, to take care of and maybe complete with Piscean energy. There's completion and creating new beginnings. It's endings and beginnings in artistic projects and spiritual projects. Now, for those who are not spiritually inclined or artistically inclined, I still think that you can just be a very mundane, be thinking consciously just on the mundane levels and still achieve states of bliss with all this Piscean energy. And when you work the energy consciously, if you want to be in the place of love, if you want to be in the place of compassion, that is spiritual. But you don't have to be trying to do anything, spiritually with it. Just know that if you're human and you're breathing, we're all human and we're all breathing, otherwise we're not here, then every moment, every breath you take, you can spiritualize your matter, your body. Your body is matter. So every breath you bring in can be loving and kind and expansive. So we have all that energy here. Even with the Aries energy, it's cardinal. It's all about beginnings and initiations and being, enthusiastically starting something new. And so this might be a completion of some projects for artists and musicians, but I see just life as art. You don't have to draw or paint or produce art. If you're artistic, this is a really good transit for you if you are producing art. But if you don't produce art, just think of your life as being art, right? And let it go with that. But so you can see with Sunday, the sun is no longer square Pluto. Now it is square Venus. Venus is coming into the square with Pluto, so we'll be dealing with that next week. Venus square Pluto has to do with people in positions of power trying to control the feminine. So we can expect next week that there'll be more things on the news, and we will be more and more focused in on trying to get our women's reproductive rights back, the fight, the push for that. And with Mars and Neptune, again, we won't be victimized. We won't be victimized. So there's that fight against victimization. Mars fights. In Pisces, it'll fight for healing. It'll fight for including. It'll fight for having our opportunity to just flow with life in ways that fulfill ourselves. How can we fulfill ourselves if we're having to be chattel? We can't. So that's the fight. That is the fight. And I'm hearing Beastie Boys again. I have a sick mind, you guys. Okay, the moon in Capricorn early this morning brings in the need to want to work, and we don't mind working. And I know it's Sunday, but maybe we're not working on work. We're working on organizing our homes or organizing something in our lives. Capricorn is dutiful. Capricorn is responsible and wants to control. It wants to be in control of our time, and also likes to be respected, right? The downside of Capricorn is narcissism. The downside of Capricorn is not respecting others and overlooking others, and yeah, there's that. But with the trines to Eris and Venus that are, you know, some quick, graceful, flowing energy, I think that there's especially with Eris there's that fight for, you know, we don't mind spending the time to fight for something that really, really, really matters. That's the thing. So maybe there's some organizing that happens for some people this Sunday. Maybe there's going to be, you know, organizing some protests or some, I don't know, launching something, getting something going that could really make a difference in getting the vote out there for Democrats. Yeah, and you can see Ceres is still trining Jupiter and Uranus. The moon is trining the sun, and every hour that goes by, so this is a really good Sunday for getting a lot done. You know, to have the moon in an earth sign and the sun in an earth sign is really a beautiful, nice flow. So this is a really good Sunday for working on your abundance, for working on anything that brings you joy and happiness and bliss and makes you feel safer and has to do with your, you know, your principles. So, yeah. So with that, I think I'll close this up. And, oh, actually, hold on. The moon squaring Mars and, yeah, I have to talk about this for a second. The moon squaring Mars and Neptune, there will be a test to the realities of some people who want to just sit in victimhood or want to victimize others. There's a tension field there. But you guys can work that in your own lives. If somebody's trying to suck up your time, you don't have time for it today. If somebody's trying to take from you and they never give back and they're just not, you know, they're not healthy that way, I think there's a decision point here. It might be this is the day you've had it. The what is it, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? You just can't. I can't even, man. So, okay, I'm going to get this uploaded and wish you tons of love this week. And have a really good weekend, too. Bye.